on first listen, I don't know how much I like it, whether it's a lot or a really lot.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey everybody, hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. I'm John, he's Andy.
I am.
And we fight crime together.
That's what we do. Find a little bit of time
and
for music.
occasionally we'll listen to some tracks. So, Andy, what have you got?
I've got Oh Brother. That's the name of the band. It's a band named Oh Brother. And the track is called Ascension. And Oh Brother is like almost like O'Connor. So it's like O apostrophe and then capital B brother. Are they
like the Ramones? Have they changed by default their surnames to all like Chucky O Brother and
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Oh,
they're all a bunch of guys not related with the same last name.
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah, I'm assuming you've never heard of these guys, right? Okay. All right. Well, needless to say, they're an American act. And yeah, give them a listen. Let me know what you think of their sound. And I'll see you on the other side.
Okay. Tap once for yes, twice for no. Okay.
Something like that.
Look at that, a boat on the bass. You always think of Jimmy Page of those things, but it's really fun to see.
Watch it go to better nights. You so not on your day
It's coming up to 2 minutes and they haven't really done much, but I'm already really intrigued. They seem, I guess it must be impressionable, but they seem like proper musos, and I just feel drawn in that I have to pay attention. And the lead vocalist, I think he's got a touch of the young Dave Gilmour about him. This all seems very promising so far.
all alone.
outstanding, fellas. It was outstanding. Michael's about to put his foot through that drum, man.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, wow, that was really interesting. On first listen, I don't know how much I like it, whether it's a lot or a really lot. It was really, as a song, as an experience, it was quite dense. It sort of didn't give itself up easily. Um, there was bits in it that sounded quite Radiohead-like. Um, Not 100% sort of taken with the sort of screech vocal bit. But it's okay. I didn't catch really a single word of what he said. Did he say sustain at one point? I don't know, I've got no idea about that. Because the overall experience was really, really interesting. And I like the way they were playing with the tempo at the end with the drummer. And that was really cool as well. So yeah, this is a lot to take in. But yeah, I'm really enthusiastic about this. I like this a lot. Back to Andy.
Aha! There you are. Thought you'd
Mhm.
hide from me. What do you think of this?
Excuse me. Yeah, I got a little bit of an issue with this. I was so caught up, captivated, and mesmerized by it. I took bugger all notes, so I'm going to try and get through this. But I really, really like this a lot.
Oh, you did. I thought this might have
And
been
this is kind of the reverse of what we were talking about earlier, but it's the same thing. I'm not quite sure why I really like it. So we'll try and dig into it. But almost immediately start off with those sort of waves with the guitar and the cymbals, ebbing and flowing in and out. And then your man, I'm going to call him Casey O'Brother. I don't know what his name is, but he starts off quite gently. And immediately I was struck by, I got a feeling straight away, looking at them all, they looked like proper musos. And it was something I felt, I think I said the reaction, I must be really impressionable, but I felt like you've got to pay attention straight away. They won me over with about, in 10, 15 seconds, And
isn't it? I'm sorry. Isn't it just sort of like the opposite effect you had when you looked at the guys in Mute Math? Like all these guys that look put together, and then these are guys that just look like they eat, sleep, breathe, and shit music. And you're like,
oh,
okay,
completely.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a subconscious thing, but yeah, definitely.
It does, yeah.
And I immediately thought as well, this is a total aside, but the lead singer, he had a touch of the young Dave Gilmour about him when he first joined Pink Floyd. It looked really similar to that, which again probably ticked a subconscious box in the back of my mind.
And they look like guys that grew up listening to Pink Floyd. You know what I mean? And maybe some of that leaked into their sound a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
So I've got subtle notes on this, so I'm going to try and just tell you what I thought. I didn't deconstruct the song or pick through any bits at all, but I will say this: when they were singing, the sort of first part of it, there was bits in it that really reminded me of Radiohead. And it was kind of almost like some guys, I presume they're American. I don't know why, but
no, they are.
And I presumed it was like some American guys who probably listened to slightly heavier music, but thought, well, we'll do a kind of Radioheady type song with our own influences, which again is not a diss at all. It's great, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. There's bits where it climaxed where he was, particularly one point where he almost screeched, and I wasn't. That's the only bit which I wasn't sold on. I know it's dramatic effect, as it were, but I'm not quite sure. But I think they come from a place where that's the sort of music they listen to, and that's a vocal effect that's quite commonplace. Not so much. Having said that, you see, I mean, I love Black Francis, who screeches like a Crazy Banshee all the time. So I don't know why I put that in, but there you go. But yeah, even sometimes when he was singing, it sounded a little bit Tom Yorkish as well in places, you know. So it was really interesting. The song overall felt really dense and rich.
Oh yeah.
And it was so hard to pick through it and even get an overview of it, because it was, you almost feel like you're in it, you know. It was great, you know. I loved it, and I loved the part. I did make one note: the crashing chords, sort of midway through, and then there was a build up after that around the 10 minute, 5 minute 10 second mark.
Yeah.
And actually, all of that to the end, I really liked where it went, and I loved the bit where they were playing with the tempo at the end, and they also the drummers pounding, and they all started gathering around him, and like they were watching him doing his stuff, you
leaning
know,
in as they're playing.
It was, and it became almost like a ritualistic thing, you know. I didn't get a single word. I've got this. I mean, the one thing I heard him say, I thought he said sustain, but it probably wasn't that. It was probably something else. I just didn't get a single word. I don't think I was trying anyway, because I was just letting it all wash over me. But I just thought it was great. From the music, I got a feeling. I don't know why, because I didn't understand a word. But I got a feeling of like a conflict trying to be resolved. That's what I got from it. But overall, it was hypnotizing. It was intense. I felt like I'd been on a journey, but I had no idea where I'd been. So I was probably in the back of the van and blindfolded. But it felt like I'd been somewhere. And I said I really, really liked it. And I can't pin down precisely why, but the overall, it was just really interesting. I really liked it.
Oh my God. I love this song so much. And I'm a big fan of these guys, and I want them to continue to put out good music and continue to get more and more recognized. There is an element to them that is heavier, but there's also elements to them that aren't. So this is kind of like middle of the road for them. This isn't that outside of the box as you may have presumed, thinking that these guys are like a heavier genre, but they lean into that sometimes. They really do. I became familiar with these guys because they toured and opened for both Manchester Orchestra and the Deer Hunter. They're based out of Atlanta, and the guys in Manchester, I don't want to say take under the wing and have that sound as like kind of a pejorative thing, but they were recognized by them to the point where I think their last album was produced by the two mainstays of Manchester Orchestra, which is Andy and Rob. And so I've got the pleasure of seeing them live. This performance is, even though it's just a studio performance, it really gives you a lot to feast on, both from like an auditory standpoint and just to watch them to just in their element doing their thing. Loved the long resonating on the bass.
Sorry, I forgot to say, see, didn't do any bloody notes, but I did mention it in my reaction. I mean, the first thing you see a bow, you just think Jimmy Page straight away, but it was really nice though, and it was original.
And it lets
on a bass as well.
And you get more. It sustains longer when it's dragged out like that, more than like even like a perfectly timed slow pluck can provide you. So I really loved the idea of using that and then kind of muting it, letting that quietness, kind of almost uneasy quiet, wash over you before the next kind of like intros, the next resonant chord that's played. And this is one of those, like you had mentioned blindfold in your sort of like your metaphor analogy or whatever. There's beauty in darkness, and this song is really, really dark. It is rich, like you said. There's no lead. This is all just sound, which is very Radiohead, and kind of even like of all the things that they're listed as in a genre, shoegaze isn't in there, but there is this element of like dark, heavy, shoegazy type quality to just the focusing on the music and letting like sound dynamics own the day. And one thing I've come to understand that you and I both share in common when it comes to music and even cross genres is like, if you play with dynamics in sound, that's a really important tool to use and to employ when you're writing a song. And these guys do it really well. And I think the song is just a perfect illustration of that. The members are not all named Oh Brother. It's Tanner Merritt, who's the lead guitar or lead vocals and guitar. Johnny Dang on guitar, Jordan McKinn on guitar, Mike Martins on drum, and then Anton Dang on bass. So the one guitarist and the bass player are brothers. Yeah, like I said, based out of Atlanta, a lot like Manchester. This particular song, from a lyrical standpoint, it kind of is so meta. It's hard to for me to figure out exactly what it's about. I don't think that you're far off though, because that same idea of like coming out from under something. I mean, it's in the name, right? Ascension. It is something to it, but like the lyrics are because you can't make out shit. Even when what you thought was sustained was the word stay, which is kind of the refrain that he goes back to. So
I wasn't sold on it. Was that anyway?
Yeah, right, exactly. So we sat in silence. I spoke of leaving, and from the floor I tried to crawl away, with my arms all but succeeding. I'll water your grave and watch it grow into a bed of lies you sowed in life. They live on long after you're gone. All in all, we're dust and bone, so we'll dig our graves before we're old enough to lie in them. We'll spread our ash amongst the dirt to soil the seed that breeds the earth, so we can live again. So wait for me to bloom. Wait for me to bloom. Stay, we're garden fed from the blood left in your veins. So stay with me, or I'll shrivel and dry out. And wait, that may have been what you thought was sustained too. For me to bloom, stay, stay, stay. And those are
okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd say overall that's kind of a fatalistic approach, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this idea, I think, with the title Ascension.
There's some of this it's almost antithetical, right? Because he keeps saying that he's staying, but he probably wants to ascend from beneath something or get away from something, or perhaps someone. There's a lot of like quote unquote finger pointing.
Yeah, I'm thinking somebody else is kind of moving on, whether that is moving on to somewhere else on this plane or to another plane,
Yeah.
and it almost, I don't know, there's a bit of jealousy in that. I don't know. That sort of popped into my head. Well, he's asking some people to stay is because you need them to stay with you, or you don't want them to move on or move elsewhere, because they're going off to somewhere better, and you're still stuck on the ground, as it were, hoarding of your arms.
Yeah. Yes.
That's so good.
Without any success, right? That's what he said.
But he said about spreading the ashes and stuff, and so the various imagery. It's quite rich, and I think you could do 10 different scenarios you could make up from those lyrics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and there's like
choice.
Yeah, shit all for an explanation anywhere about it, which is kind of fine by me to be, especially with this type of song. And it's going to sound funny because I'm going to say melody, but there's like, this isn't like, a pop song, but like the vocal melody of his delivery is perfect for the song. And I know that you're a little iffy when he and he takes it up there and kind of it gets on the verge of it. But to me, I think if you put that vocal track on another song, it would sound awful, right? But on this, it's just perfectly cut for the cloth, I think. So, but no, I mean, that could just be me, you know what I mean? To each their own, obviously.
I totally agree with that, and I'm going to say exactly why they did that. I just say in terms of personal taste, it was starting to get into the Pearl Jam area of screeching, and I don't particularly like that. So.
Yeah, and at least he didn't lean into it the whole time. Like the beginning, I can't make out what he's saying because it's so soft and the music is so rich. And then by the end of it, I can't make out the lyrics as individual words because of the way he's taking it up. It's almost like a complete opposite, but still I'm lost to pin down those words. So really awesome song. It came off their second EP, which is called The Death of Day, and it was released in 2009. So they're considered alt rock, indie rock, post-rock, sludge metal, and experimental rock. So maybe that experimental thing is sort of where we're getting into the Tom Yorkie, shoegazy type of territory. But someone's got to tell me what post-rock is. But
I know what post-ironic means. It's not funny.
So this means this is not rock. And yet it very much
post-rock is just nonsense.
It is.
Term.
It's got to be one of the most pretentious labels I've ever heard.
It's interesting, this music, because you could draw the Venn diagram of where this sits. It's hard to actually name that bit in the center where this music is. And
there's more than two circles that are conglomerated.
Oh yeah, there's about 8. And that's probably why it's hard to pin it down. But within all that sort of mixture of influences, you've heard lots of different versions all the time. So it's quite hard to be original sitting there in the middle. But this feels really original to me.
Yes,
and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. It's so funny that when you said you saw the guys, like you immediately had like unearned reverence just because of their aesthetic, because they just do look like music. Those guys
just give off that vibe.
Yeah,
they really do.
They do. Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad that you gave this a listen, and I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I'm going to remember this for a possible thing in the future if we want to revisit these guys. I really thought we were on shaky ground when I offered this one up to you, but I'm glad you found all the same redeeming qualities in it that I did. And with all that being said, I'm gonna wrap this episode up, John. So, guys out there listening audience, tell us what you thought about Oh Brother and this track Ascension. As all of our tracks, I'm sure this isn't for everybody, but if it resonated with you or you liked it or you found some redeeming qualities, please feel free to share with us in the comment field. We'd love interacting with all you guys. And don't forget, again, if it also resonated with you, like, share, subscribe. You're always welcome here, and we appreciate any kind of algorithm assist we can get from you guys. We appreciate you so much. So all that being said, John, you take care. Everybody out there, take care, and we will see you all on the next episode of Into the Music.